There are none so blind as those who will not see. So the saying goes. If you are curious about where it came from, then you should know that Ray Stevens was not the first one to say it, although he may have been the first one to sing it. His song, Everything is Beautiful, starts with, Jesus loves the little children, and then includes the words, there is none so blind as he who will not see. We must not close up minds. We must let our thoughts be free. The proverb, however, actually goes all the way back to John Haywood, an English writer in 1546. And it is a little longer than that. He actually said, there are none so blind as those who will not see. The most deluded people are those who choose to ignore what they already know. The idea is also there in the Bible, of course. In fact, it is an often repeated theme. Jesus himself once said to his followers, having eyes, do you not see? And having ears, do you not hear? And do you not remember? To be honest, they could be a little dense sometimes, and so can we. There is a reason that the stories of Jesus healing the blind are found there in the Gospels. It is not to impress us with the miracles that Jesus could perform, but to try and get us to open our own eyes and to see Jesus. One such story is found in the 10th chapter of Mark. There we learn the story of a blind man named Bartimaeus. By this time in the Gospel of Mark, we have already heard about several other miracles, including another blind man before. The reputation of Jesus as a miracle worker was growing by the time he got to Jericho. There, Bartimaeus sat one day by the roadside, begging as usual, hoping for a scrap or two of kindness. He didn't see Jesus coming, but he heard the crowd gathering, and he heard them talking about him. Mostly, they were curious. He, however, had already come to see Jesus in a way that they did not. Therefore, he began to shout, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. This, of course, annoyed those around him, who basically told him to shut up. He and others like Bartimaeus were at the bottom of the rung when it came to the pecking order. They were neither to be seen nor heard most of the time. After all, if they were handicapped in this way, then they obviously were sinners. God must be punishing them for their sins, or the sins of their parents at least. Their sole function in society was just to be there so the good people could drop in a coin from time to time and feel like they had done their civic duty. The beautiful people were the important ones there to greet Jesus. They were obviously the ones that Jesus would want to see. And of course, they were also there to size him up as well. They didn't know yet what to make of this wandering rabbi. Bartimaeus, on the other hand, had listened to all the stories of strangers who passed him by day after day, and he already knew in his heart who Jesus really was. He wouldn't be silenced, and he cried out again, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. If you didn't catch that the first time, you really should have. Jesus, of course, was born in Bethlehem, the city of David, and I am sure that Ancestry.com, if it had existed back then, would have sketched out his family tree all the way to David, just like Matthew did later. But this phrase, Son of David, meant more than that. This was a messianic title. To call Jesus the Son of David was to identify him as the long-awaited Messiah by prophets foretold. Those who were trying to get Bartimaeus to shut up obviously didn't share his opinion. Therefore, they not only disliked Bartimaeus in general, they didn't like what he was yelling either. Jesus, however, heard him and stopped. Then, instead of going to where Bartimaeus was, he told those around him to call him. What was this about? I think Jesus wanted them to see Bartimaeus as something other than a blind man, and instead of ignoring him, to actually do something that would help him. It was almost as if Jesus had a royal court going, and he wanted to make a point of receiving Bartimaeus even though others in the community had been trying to keep him silent. "Cheer up," they told him, "on your feet. He is calling you." Bartimaeus jumped to his feet, cast off his cloak, and maybe with a little help, came to Jesus. This was literally his come to Jesus moment. But he already believed what they did not. He knew Jesus was the long-awaited Messiah. And in the Gospel of Mark, he is the only one who ever calls Jesus the Son of David. For him, Jesus was more than just a curiosity. He was the one God had chosen to change the world. It is amazing what a blind man could see when others could not. Jesus, on his part, honored the faith of Bartimaeus, and as a royal king, he asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" Now, he and his followers were usually lacking in financial resources, so they had to wonder what Jesus could actually do for him. "I want to see," Bartimaeus answered. That was a bold thing to ask for, born of faith. He believed that Jesus could help him. He believed that Jesus could change his life forever. He had persisted in this hope even when others had tried to keep him away from Jesus. Now he dared to put his entire future in Jesus' hands. That is, I think, a lot more faith than anyone else there that day had. And maybe even more faith than many of us have, even on a good day. Maybe he left his cloak behind that day because he knew that he wouldn't be sitting there begging for coins anymore. He believed that there truly was a new life waiting for him. Ask and you will receive, but you will never ask if you don't believe. That day his sight returned, and Jesus responded by telling him, "Your faith has healed you." And how true that really was. In that crowd, Jesus was the only person who really cared about a blind man who could clearly see through the eyes of faith what others couldn't. The faith of Bartimaeus brought him at last to the feet of Jesus, and that is what made possible a miracle. Jesus often said this, "Your faith has healed you," to those whom he was able to heal. It seems that almost every healing, in fact, required not only his power, but their measure of faith as well. And this is the nature of that faith. It recognizes Jesus as the Son of David and the Son of God, God's agent of change, who can and will make all things right if we but ask. This faith responds and comes when Jesus calls, thereby accepting his claim upon our life and the grace that he would bestow upon us. This faith persists even when others try to block the way, knowing that even if others might dismiss us as unimportant and worthless, Jesus does not. We are of infinite worth to him. He can and will receive us, but only if we come to him by faith. And such faith expects that life will change when Jesus is finally there. How could it not? Inevitably, his presence is transforming. Once present in our lives, all things become possible through him. There will be miracles sometimes, but only when there need to be. There will be grace always to love us just as we are, and to love us into becoming who we need to be. We can listen to and truly experience Jesus within our life. No matter what happens, or where we go, or what we do, he will be there. Such love and faith is what enables us to become followers of Jesus, because we know that his words are life, and that where he is, we need to be also. Once he regained his sight, Bartimaeus immediately became a follower of Jesus, one of many besides the disciples who joined Jesus on the road. Maybe the real reason Bartimaeus wanted his sight at all was just to be able to see Jesus. His new life was just the byproduct of that. How painful it must have been for him to later see so many others who could not see Jesus the way that he saw Jesus. Truly, this man was the Son of God. Why didn't they know that? It is hard for me to understand as well why others do not understand what I do. It is all there for anyone who has eyes to see. But I guess the eyes we need are spiritual, not physical. Someone once said, the reason people don't come is not that they lack light, but that they love darkness. They are not kept from light against their will. It is precisely their strong-willed preferences for the darkness that keeps them away from the light. Eye doctors understand pretty well what goes into the process of seeing. When everything is working correctly, our eyes see reflected light and send a signal to our brains, which becomes an important part of our perception of reality around us. We don't see everything, of course. The full spectrum of light is beyond what we can see with our eyes alone. And there are colors that some people cannot see while others can. Try to explain to someone who cannot see blue what blue truly is. It is difficult. In the same way, when someone is blind spiritually, they can never understand what it means to see what they cannot. As Paul said, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, these things God has prepared for those who love him. These are the things God has revealed to us by his Spirit. The good news for those who are spiritually blind is that Jesus is really good at healing people who are blind. And he is the light of the world, shining in the darkness. If we have the faith and the persistence and the audacity to make our request, he will help us to see that which our physical eyes never will. He is waiting. Go ahead. Just ask him. Be safe, and God bless you.